1 in 3 homes in Metro Atlanta have been bought by investors. And so these are the same investors that are going to end up evicting tenants, raising rents, and displacing some of the most vulnerable people in our communities.
That investment has left the poor and working class, specifically Black people in the community, behind. This investment in the community is not for the people, the local residents that live here, but instead is for outsiders coming in.
We've seen the eviction crisis skyrocket during the pandemic. We've seen gentrification and displacement continue to get worse. This is why this work is not just important, but is really urgent. So my name is Nikishka. I'm the founder and CEO, the Chief Ecosystem Officer at the Guild. When we were doing our co-living spaces, we had a lot of demand for the spaces, but we're really butting up against a lot of the constraints of status quo development that sort of puts profit over people. We really had to sort of peel the layers of the onion and get to the root cause of why real estate development is so extractive.
We are at 918 Dill Avenue in Atlanta's Capitol View neighborhood, which will be Atlanta's first community-owned and community-governed mixed-use project.
We realized that the best thing for us to do for a community-owned project is to act as if the people who will own it one day already own it and make all the decisions with them. So the project involves 18 units of housing in addition to the commercial space. While thriving communities need permanently affordable housing, they also need businesses and space for businesses.
The first event that we did out here after we'd acquired the building, we had a Juneteenth celebration. And we painted a mural on the side of the building and asked people to write on the building, what do you want to see here? What do you want this to be? And it's so dope, reading the suggestions, because so many of them we were able to incorporate into the building.
Things like stoops and porches, which are so often lost in multifamily housing, are a key component of social life. We built in these really deep 13-foot wide porches on each floor that run the entire length of the building, with the idea that we really want people to be able to say hello to passersby and embed this building in the neighborhood's psyche.
One thing that was a huge ask, a huge desire, was for fresh grocery in this building. So that's why the space we're standing in is going to be a grocery store.
918 Dill Avenue is at the intersection of a previous main street for this neighborhood, Capitol View. It existed as such at one time and was flourishing. It's a creative center of Atlanta, both from a visual artist as well as music artists and performing artist standpoint. How do we recreate and relaunch these commercial corridors so that all of these deserts we talk about in swamps, whether it's food, commercial, or even jobs, can begin to be eliminated? And the project at 918 Dill is just one that just fundamentally intersects across all of those areas.
Oftentimes, community projects or things for communities, especially Black communities, are just given and handed to folks. And so my focus is really working with all of the folks at the Guild so that we can design and develop real estate and ecosystem resources that folks actually want and need. The Community Stewardship Trust is a cooperative entity that will be composed of local neighborhood residents. Essentially, the trust will own, govern, and develop property in a neighborhood. It's a model for folks in the community to self-govern and benefit from the real estate in which they live. So their wealth grows as the property grows.
We're starting with one property, but the goal is that every neighborhood will have a stewardship trust. The real estate industry has had an invisible hand in every urban inequity that you can think of. If we want to build an alternative future that is equitable, that is just, that is liberatory, we really have to start with building an alternative real estate model, and that's why we do this work.
That sharing of power, that sharing of ideas is so integral to what we're doing here. It equals out to something that people can feel at home in, that people can love, and people can feel at home because they built this. They built this with us.